The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky, sparkling like tiny jewels scattered across a velvet blanket. The human hospital ship Mercy of Sol drifted quietly through the Syra system. Its white hull reflected the distant light of a dying sun, and the bright red cross painted on its side gleamed as a promise of hope. Inside, the corridors were alive with gentle chaos. Doctors moved quickly between rooms. Medics whispered words of comfort to frightened patients, and the soft beeping of medical machines filled the air. Soldiers from many worlds rested in recovery beds, some clutching the hands of loved ones, some staring at the ceiling in silent pain. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the glowing displays. She had always loved this ship, not because it was fast or powerful, but because it saved lives. Every child she helped, every soldier she healed, reminded her why humans fought so hard to survive in the galaxy. "Keep us on course," she said softly. "We're heading to the outer colonies. They need our help." Her first officer, Selketh, a tall Andari with pale blue skin and glowing eyes, approached nervously. "Captain," he said, voice low, "our sensors are picking up an unregistered warship. It's approaching fast. No identification. No transmissions, nothing." Elena's brow furrowed. "Unregistered? In the neutral zone?" She felt a chill run down her spine. "Raise a hail. Identify yourselves. Make it clear we are a hospital ship. Non-combatant. Protected by treaty." The seconds crawled. The crew held their breath. Then the response came, not words but action. The warship fired. A bright beam ripped through the vacuum and struck the ship's medical bay. Explosions tore through walls, sending debris flying. Alarms screamed. Smoke filled the corridors. Elena's stomach dropped. "No, this can't be," she shouted. "We are a hospital ship. We carry only the wounded. We are untouchable." But the attackers did not stop. They fired again and again. Panic rose like a storm in the corridors, yet the humans did not falter. Medics carried injured soldiers into escape pods. Doctors formed human chains to drag the wounded to safety. Children were gathered, wrapped in blankets, and moved away from danger. Elena ran through the chaos, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "Earth Command. Emergency distress. Repeat, our ship is under fire," she shouted into the comms. Her words were urgent, but she knew deep down the message might reach them too late. The ship shuddered with another impact. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and smoke stung eyes. Yet amidst the destruction, the humans showed something the attackers could not understand. Courage. They did not fight with weapons, but with determination, skill, and the unwavering will to protect their own. Every life saved became a small victory in a war they had not chosen. Elena looked at Selketh as he helped a wounded soldier into a pod. His alien eyes reflected admiration and fear. "They are incredible," he whispered. "They are human," Elena replied, voice tight with emotion. "And we never give up." The Mercy of Sol's escape pods launched one by one. Survivors floated in the void, battered but alive. Smoke and fire marked the last view of the once pristine ship, a symbol of mercy shattered by cruelty. And in the cold silence of space, Elena felt a rising fury. Someone had made a deadly mistake. They had fired on a human hospital ship. Across the galaxy, this act would not be forgotten. Humans could endure suffering, could survive horrors beyond imagining. But when their people were attacked, the response would be absolute, relentless, and devastating. The seeds of war had been sown that day, and Earth would not forgive. Elena gazed at the stars, determination hardening her heart. "We survived," she whispered. "And now, they will learn what it means to strike at humanity." The escape pods drifted silently in the cold void, carrying the survivors of the Mercy of Sol. Outside, the stars glittered as if mocking their pain. Inside, it was chaos and quiet fear all at once. Medics tended to burns, broken bones, and shock. Children clutched stuffed toys and blankets, their eyes wide and frightened. Soldiers from dozens of species whispered prayers or murmured to themselves, trying to stay alive, trying to hold on to hope. Captain Elena Voss floated in one of the pods, her uniform torn and singed, her hands covered in soot. She checked the injured around her, her heart aching for every life that had been lost. Over 300 crew members had been aboard the Mercy of Sol when the attack started. Now less than a third remained. Each face she saw, each faint heartbeat she listened to, reminded her of the cruelty of the galaxy and the unbreakable will of humanity. Selketh hovered nearby, his alien features grim. "They will pay for this," he said, voice low. "I have never seen such organized mercy under fire. Humans. They are beyond anything I imagined." Elena gave a tight nod. "We survived," she said. "But surviving is only the first step. Earth must know what was done to us. The galaxy must learn that attacking a hospital ship comes with consequences." The comms crackled, faint at first, then louder. A signal from Earth Command broke through the darkness. "This is Earth Fleet Command. Pod 3, report your status." Elena grabbed the mic. "Captain Elena Voss of the Mercy of Sol. Our ship has been destroyed. Casualties are high. Survivors are in escape pods. Attackers unidentified. Request immediate reinforcements." Her voice trembled, but determination rang clear. There was a long pause, then the calm, steady voice of Admiral Harlan came through. "Acknowledged, Captain. Earth has received your distress signal. Response is immediate. Prepare your survivors. We are deploying a full war fleet. They will pay for this. Humanity will strike back." Relief washed over the pod, mingled with sorrow. Elena looked at the injured, at the medics who refused to rest despite exhaustion, and felt a swelling pride. "We may be broken," she whispered to Selketh, "but we are not defeated. Not by them. Not ever." Hours passed as the survivors drifted, tending wounds, comforting each other, and holding vigil for those who had died. The galaxy was silent, but Elena knew the whispers were already spreading. News of the attack would reach every corner, every species. Humans had endured atrocities before, but the destruction of a hospital ship, a sanctuary of healing, was a line that could not be ignored. She walked the pods, touching shoulders, offering words, keeping hope alive. "You are safe for now," she said to a trembling young boy clutching a bandaged arm. "Earth is coming. We will make sure they pay for what they did to us." Selketh watched her and shook his head. "You carry their pain as if it were your own," he said softly. "I did not know humans could endure this and still stand tall." Elena's eyes shone with quiet fire. "We endure," she said simply, "because survival is not enough. We fight for every life, every memory, every piece of hope that exists. That is who we are." In the silence of space, the escape pods floated toward Earth, each pod a fragile flame in the dark, each survivor a reminder that humans never surrendered. And in the hearts of the crew, a promise burned brighter than any star. Those who attacked the Mercy of Sol would soon understand the price of their cruelty. Somewhere, deep in the galaxy, the attackers were still celebrating their victory. They did not yet know that they had awakened something far greater than a single ship. They had provoked a race that refused to kneel, a race that protected life at all costs and punished those who dared to destroy it. Elena gazed at the stars one last time before the pods disappeared into the void, toward the home of humanity. She whispered a vow for herself, for the survivors, and for every lost soul aboard the Mercy of Sol. "We will return. We will fight. And when we do, no one will forget that humans strike back." Back on Earth, the news of the attack on the Mercy of Sol spread like fire. Screens across the globe lit up with the horrifying images of the destroyed ship and the survivors drifting in space. People stopped in the streets. Families clutched each other, and leaders of the world gathered urgently in command centers. This was not just another skirmish in a distant corner of the galaxy. This was an attack on humanity's heart. A hospital ship, a symbol of mercy, destroyed without warning. Admiral Harlan stood before the War Council, his face hard as steel. "We will not tolerate this," he said. "Every life aboard that ship mattered. Every doctor, medic, and child lost represents a debt that must be paid. Humanity will respond, not with negotiation, but with power." The room was tense, filled with the leaders of Earth's fleet and representatives from allied planets. Plans were drawn, commands given, and fleets readied. Ships of every class, from massive battle cruisers to sleek fighter escorts, began to assemble. The Sol Invictus, Earth's flagship, shone like a silver blade in orbit, ready to carry humanity's wrath to the attackers. Meanwhile, on the escape pods, Captain Elena Voss watched the stars, waiting, hoping for news. Then the comm signal broke through, carrying the voice of Admiral Harlan. "Captain Voss," he said, "Earth has received your distress signal. We are mobilizing the war fleet. They will pay. Stay strong. Your courage will be honored." Elena's eyes filled with tears. She had expected grief, fear, maybe even despair, but hope surged through her instead. "Thank you, sir," she replied, her voice steady. "We will hold on. The survivors will make it." The galaxy, which had always underestimated humanity, was about to learn a harsh lesson. Humanity had survived wars, plagues, and extinction-level threats, and every time they had risen stronger. The attack on a hospital ship was a line T. Hat could not be crossed. The fleets gathered, massive and intimidating, each ship bristling with weapons of devastating power ready to strike. Back on Earth, civilians watched the mobilization with a mix of fear and pride. Children stared at the sky, dreaming of the ships that would carry vengeance to the stars. Soldiers trained tirelessly. Mechanics worked day and night to ensure every ship was perfect, every weapon ready. Humanity was uniting in a way it had not for centuries. Admiral Harlan visited the training halls personally, moving among the crews. "This is more than a battle," he told them. "This is a statement. We protect life. We protect our people. And when anyone dares to destroy that life, we strike back with everything we have." His words echoed through the hall, hard and inspiring. Meanwhile, intelligence teams traced the attackers' origin. They discovered a small coalition of alien warlords who believed humanity was weak, a race that could be bullied without consequence. That belief was about to be shattered. Every ship launched, every crew prepared, every weapon loaded carried the weight of the lives lost on the mercy of Sol. Captain Elena, now aboard a transport heading back toward the inner system, watched Earth shrink behind her. Her heart burned with a quiet fury. She thought of the medics who had saved strangers at the cost of their own lives. She thought of the children whose tears she had wiped away. And she whispered a vow to the stars themselves. They will pay. Humanity will not forgive. We will show the galaxy what it means to strike at our people. As the war fleet moved into formation, the universe seemed to hold its breath. In the darkness beyond Earth, the attackers celebrated. Unaware of the storm coming, they thought humans were helpless, that mercy could be destroyed without consequence. They were wrong. The war fleet gleamed like a sword poised to strike. Every captain, every crew, every pilot and soldier knew the stakes. The first battle would not be for territory or resources. It would be for justice, for honor, for humanity itself. And when the humans struck, no one in the galaxy would ever forget. Elena watched the stars again, determination burning in her chest. "We will return," she whispered. "And when we do, the galaxy will remember what it means to hurt a human." The human war fleet moved through the darkness of space like a tide of silver fire. Ships of every size, from massive dreadnoughts to nimble fighter squadrons, formed a vast, unbreakable formation. Captain Elena Voss watched from her transport as the fleet spread out across the void. Every vessel a symbol of Earth's resolve. The survivors of the Mercy of Sol were aboard support ships, safe for now, but the memory of their destroyed hospital haunted every human heart. The attackers, a coalition of alien warlords who had celebrated their victory, had no idea what awaited them. They believed humans were fragile, bound by treaties and compassion. They did not understand that humans could endure suffering and rise stronger, fueled by the fire of justice. Elena's hands tightened around the rail of her transport. "We carry the lives of our fallen," she whispered. "Every doctor, every child, every medic. We will honor them." The fleet's sensors picked up the enemy ships on the outskirts of the Nara expanse. There were 30 vessels, heavily armed but disorganized, their confidence still high. Humanity's fleet was larger, disciplined, and guided by a single purpose: justice. Admiral Harlan's voice echoed through the comms. "All captains prepare for engagement. This is not a war of conquest, it is a war of protection." They struck at mercy. They struck at life, and now they will learn the cost. The humans moved into attack positions. Fighter squadrons flanked the edges, prepared to intercept any sudden moves. Battleships advanced, shields glowing, weapons humming with lethal energy. And then with a single signal, the silence of space shattered. Energy beams streaked across the darkness, striking enemy hulls. Explosions erupted as the first warships of the coalition were torn apart. Smaller ships tried to flee, but human fighters cut them off, relentless and precise. The attackers had underestimated human coordination, skill, and determination. Elena watched from her transport, relief and pride mixing with sorrow. She remembered the faces of her lost crew, the cries of children as their sanctuary burned, Every shot fired was for them, every maneuver a tribute to lives stolen by cruelty. The battle raged for hours, but the humans never wavered. When an enemy ship managed to strike a human vessel, medics and engineers aboard the support ships worked tirelessly to save lives. Humans fought, but they also healed. That balance, the will to destroy only what threatened them and protect what remained, was something no enemy had truly prepared for. Selketh, hovering beside Elena, whispered in awe, "They are not just fighting, they are carrying the weight of every life lost." Elena nodded, eyes sharp. "That is the strength of humanity," she said. "We do not fight for glory. We fight for what is right, and when we fight, the galaxy sees that mercy has a price." By the end of the first engagement, half of the Coalition's fleet was destroyed, and the rest scattered into the void, their confidence shattered. Humanity had sent a clear message. Attacking a hospital ship was a mistake they would never forgive. The survivors cheered quietly in the support pods, relief washing over them. The battle had been swift but brutal, and though they had not lost any more lives, the memory of the mercy of Sol's destruction remained fresh in every mind. Elena gazed out at the smoking remains of the enemy ships. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "The galaxy will remember today, and if they ever forget, we will remind them." The stars around them shone cold and distant, but humanity's fire burned brighter than ever. From the ashes of a destroyed hospital, a storm had risen, one that would sweep across the galaxy, unstoppable, unyielding, and unforgettable. The galaxy had never seen humans fight like this before. Word of the first strike on the attackers' fleet spread quickly through communications channels and spy satellites. Panic rippled through the coalition of warlords. They had believed humans were fragile, bound by compassion and easy to intimidate. They were wrong. Every attack on humanity, every act of cruelty, now fueled a force they could not contain. Captain Elena Voss stood on the deck of the transport, her eyes scanning the distant horizon. Even from this distance, she could see the silhouettes of the enemy's remaining warships. Smoke and fire trailed behind the vessels like the last screams of a dying empire. Her heart ached for the mercy of Sol, for the friends she had lost, for the children who had seen terror too early in their lives. But she also felt a surge of determination that was almost painful in its intensity. Humanity would not falter. Humanity would not forgive. Admiral Harlan's voice came over the fleet-wide comms, calm but resolute. "All units advance. This is humanity's response. Let no ship escape our justice. Protect the survivors. Protect life. And let those who attacked the mercy of Sol understand the cost of their actions." Fighter squadrons dove into the fray, weaving between enemy fire with unmatched precision. Battleships fired synchronized volleys, ripping apart enemy hulls and leaving no room for retreat. Humanity's fleet moved as one, every ship anticipating the next move, every captain acting with a sense of purpose born from grief and fury. Elena's transport hovered above the edge of the battle, coordinating medics and rescue operations. She watched as human crews carried wounded alien civilians away from the conflict, saving lives even while they fought. It was not just a war, it was a demonstration of everything humans valued: life, honor, and justice. Selketh leaned close to Elena, his alien features reflecting awe and fear. "They are unstoppable," he whispered. "I thought this was just revenge, but it is more. It is humanity itself, alive and burning." Elena's eyes softened for a brief moment. "We fight not just for revenge," she said. "We fight to remind the galaxy that mercy is sacred. When it is destroyed, humans rise, and we do not stop until justice is done." The battle escalated. Enemy ships tried desperate maneuvers, launching missile barrages and plasma strikes, but human defenses held strong. Every vessel that fired at a human ship was met with overwhelming retaliation. Explosions lit the dark void like novas, painting the galaxy in a deadly, mesmerizing light. Onboard smaller fighters, pilots shouted over comms as they destroyed enemy craft with precision. Each strike was measured not for cruelty but for justice. Humanity was relentless, unyielding, and terrifyingly efficient. Amid the chaos, Elena watched a young medic, barely 20, pull an injured alien child from the debris of a destroyed ship. She held the child close, whispering comforting words while the child sobbed. Elena realized then that this was the essence of humanity: the strength to fight, the will to survive and the compassion to heal even in the darkest hours. Hours passed, and by the time the battle ended, the remaining enemy forces were shattered, scattered, and broken. The tide had turned completely. Humanity had struck with precision, with honor, and with a fury that no one in the galaxy had expected. Elena looked out at the aftermath. Smoldering wreckage floated in the void, but the survivors, both human and alien, cheered quietly in their pods. Tears ran down Elena's face, not just for the fallen, but for the strength that had risen from the ashes. Humanity had answered the attack with force and heart, and the message was clear. No one harmed a human without paying the ultimate price. She clenched her fists, whispering to herself and to the memory of the mercy of Sol, "This is only the beginning. Humanity will always rise, and if anyone ever dares strike at us again, they will not survive to regret it." The galaxy had witnessed the fury of Earth's war fleet, and a single truth now echoed across the stars. Humans were not to be underestimated, and mercy, when attacked, could become the deadliest weapon of all. The shattered remnants of the enemy fleet fled toward the outskirts of the sector, but Earth's war fleet pursued relentlessly. Captain Elena Voss watched from the command deck of her transport as massive battleships cut through the void, their weapons humming with deadly precision. Every shot, every maneuver, every squadron in formation carried the memory of the mercy of Sol, the medics who had died, and the innocent lives stolen in an act of unprovoked cruelty. Admiral Harlan's voice came through the comms, calm but iron-strong. "All units, final engagement. No mercy for those who attacked humanity's mercy. Destroy the command ships. Cut off their retreat. Humanity will show the galaxy that an attack on life will never go unanswered." The remaining enemy ships were larger and more heavily armed than the smaller squadrons they had faced before, but their morale was broken. Fear and panic replaced arrogance. They had underestimated humans once. Now they understood the price of misjudgment. Elena felt a surge of anger mixed with sorrow. She remembered the screams, the fire, the chaos on the mercy of Sol. She remembered the young children, the wounded, the medics who had given everything to save lives, and she whispered a vow to the stars. "This ends tonight. For every soul lost, we will make them pay." The first volley of human weapons struck like thunder. Energy beams tore through the enemy flagship, sending fire and debris into space. Fighter squadrons darted around the larger vessels, striking with precision. Explosions lit the darkness, but humanity's fleet moved with unparalleled coordination. Every ship knew its role. Every captain knew the stakes. Amid the chaos, Elena saw one of the enemy command ships launching missiles toward a cluster of support pods carrying survivors. Without hesitation, she gave the order to intercept. Human fighters dove into the path of the missiles, destroying each one mid-flight. Medics and children were saved once again, and Elena felt a pang of pride mixed with exhaustion. Humanity fought not only to destroy, but also to protect. That balance, that heart, made them unstoppable. Selketh hovered beside her, his eyes wide with awe. "They fight with fury, but also mercy. I have never seen a race like this." Elena's voice was quiet but firm. "We are human. We fight to protect, we fight to survive, and when they attack what we cherish, we strike back harder than anything the galaxy has ever seen." The battle reached its climax. Enemy ships faltered under relentless assaults. Their command network collapsed as Earth's fleet destroyed communication arrays, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. Explosions echoed across the void as the last few vessels were obliterated. The galaxy, which had once underestimated humanity, now watched in awe and fear. When the dust of battle settled, only silence remained. The survivors of the enemy fleet drifted, broken and defeated. Human ships, though battered and scorched, remained intact, their crews exhausted but triumphant. Elena looked out at the remains of the enemy's command ship, now a smoldering ruin in the darkness of space. Tears filled her eyes, not just for the victory, but for the lives lost, for the mercy of Sol, and for the cost of war. She placed a hand over her heart, whispering a vow for every soul aboard her fallen ship. "You are not forgotten. Humanity has answered your cries, and the galaxy will remember the price of attacking mercy." The survivors cheered quietly in their pods, exhausted but filled with hope. Children hugged medics, soldiers saluted their captains, and Elena felt the heavy weight of responsibility lift slightly. Humanity had risen from the ashes, fought with honor, and struck back with justice. Selketh looked at her, awe in his eyes. "You have shown the galaxy something it will never forget," he said. Elena nodded, voice trembling with emotion. "We fight not for vengeance alone," she said. "We fight to protect life, to honor those lost, and to remind everyone. Never strike at humanity's mercy. Never." And in the quiet of space, as human ships regrouped and survivors clung to hope, one truth echoed through the stars. The humans of Earth had awakened, and no one would ever underestimate them again. The stars were quiet once more, but the silence was not peace, it was the calm after a storm of human fury. The enemy fleet was shattered, their command destroyed, and their arrogance extinguished. Captain Elena Voss floated in her transport, looking out at the remnants of the battle. Smoke trailed across space from destroyed vessels, and debris glimmered like shattered diamonds in the cold void. Yet amid the wreckage, hope thrived. Survivors of the Mercy of Sol and allied species drifted safely in support pods, their faces etched with relief, exhaustion, and awe. Elena's eyes were heavy with tears. She thought of the doctors who had saved lives in impossible conditions, of the children she had comforted, of the medics who had died to protect others. Humanity had endured this loss and turned grief into power. She whispered to the stars, "We carry them with us. Every life, every sacrifice. They are our strength." Admiral Harlan's voice came over the fleet comms, steady and proud. "All units, stand down. Humanity has prevailed. The galaxy has seen what it means to strike at our mercy. Let this be a warning to all. Earth protects its own. We heal, we fight, and we endure. Never forget that." The survivors cheered softly in their pods, hugging each other, wiping tears and finding solace in life. For the first time since the attack, smiles appeared, tentative, fragile, yet unbroken. Elena moved among them, offering comfort, words of encouragement and quiet reassurance. "We are alive," she said, voice thick with emotion. "And that is something no enemy can ever take from us." Selketh, who had witnessed the battle from her side, turned to her. "I have seen many species fight," he said, voice trembling. "But I have never seen such strength, such courage, such heart. Humans are beyond fear or weakness. You are unstoppable." Elena shook her head, a small bittersweet smile forming. "We are just human," she said softly. "But when we protect what we love, when mercy is attacked, we become more than they can imagine." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread quickly. Entire civilizations whispered about the humans who had risen from the ashes of a destroyed hospital ship to crush a fleet of seasoned warlords. Ships and colonies who had once doubted humanity now regarded them with cautious respect, fear, and awe. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were a force of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. On the bridge of her transport, Elena looked at the stars and saw distant planets twinkling in the void. For generations, humans had lived quietly, exploring, trading, healing. But now the galaxy had learned the price of attacking mercy. Elena whispered again, this time with quiet pride. "We fight for life, and when life is threatened, we rise. Always." The fleet began to return to Earth, carrying survivors, injured allies, and stories of human courage that would echo for decades. Children held hands with their saviors. Soldiers saluted the fleet captains, and medics smiled despite exhaustion. Humanity had fought not just to destroy the enemy, but to protect life itself, and the galaxy had seen the result. Elena finally allowed herself to breathe, leaning back and closing her eyes. The Mercy of Sol might have been destroyed, but its legacy lived on. Every life saved, every battle fought, every act of courage was a testament to the human spirit. They had turned tragedy into triumph, loss into action, and sorrow into purpose. And somewhere in the silence of space, a single truth echoed across every corner of the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were healers, fighters, survivors, and when provoked, they were unstoppable. Mercy was their strength, fury their weapon, and their resolve. Absolute. Elena opened her eyes, looking at the stars with determination. "We will always rise," she whispered. "We protect life, honor the fallen, and no one will ever strike at humanity without paying the price. This is who we are. This is Earth." The fleet moved toward home, victorious, proud, and unbroken. Humanity had struck back, and the galaxy had seen the true meaning of the words. They fired on a human hospital ship, and Earth struck back with a war fleet.